Recorded in the most secure facility outside of Fort Knox, it's the most isolated show in the world.
Welcome back to the most isolated show in the world. Michael Ross leading the charge as always, and joining me is my intrepid, fearless co-host, Mitchell Tinley.
Guten Tag. We've already been taken over by Germany. So I can only imagine. I might trial new ways of that.
Yeah.
Because this is an isolated show in the crazy times that we're in. World War III was what kicked off 2020. So you never know. We could get taken over by certain countries. So I could just
Hey, it's possible.
start the show off like that. Also, you didn't start with fellow survivors. You normally do the old fellow survivors.
Hello, fellow survivors.
Okay,
Do welcome to the 8th most isolated show in the world. And this one is where we start to really kind of mix it up.
Yeah, we are.
Because COVID is no longer front and center.
No, it's just a common cold now. All the tinfoil hat guys were right. No. No. Now it's about 5G.
Yes.
The Telstra tower. No, it's not about that either. But we are kind of pushing on to discuss different things now.
Australia in particular, we're doing well. We're completely down the other side of the curve. We're in phase 2 of restrictions easing, on our way to phase 3 in a couple of weeks, which is pretty much then back to normal.
Yes, that's when on our radio show, people that don't know, we have a radio show in the Limestone Coast in South Australia. You have to shave your head skin bald and get rid of your gross hairy facial hair on your face and go like skin bald.
Yeah, like a little egg.
Yeah, you can see what Michael looks like on Mitchell Michael Show on your favourite Facebook page. But yeah, when we hit stage 3, roughly about like when I deem it acceptable, I think when the NBA comes back as well, you'll see me go back into normal life and I'll be like, this is normal. And then you have to go skin bald.
The world has been shook up in a different way, though, now.
Yep.
Coronavirus still exists. A lot of countries still being hit hard. But front and center in the spotlight is riots and protests.
Yes.
And, of course, we all know about the Black Lives Matter, which are beginning in the US after the George Floyd incident in Minneapolis.
Yes.
It's spread around the world, and it's here in Australia now, and it's evolving in Australia to pick up the torch again for Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders. But it's not the only riots.
It's weird that you use torch. Anyway.
No, but continue the crusade.
Go on. Go on, mate.
Why do all these words, why have they been tarnished? These are just normal sayings. Damn the clan.
As Fat Man Scoop once said, F the clan.
So there are other riots around the world. It's actually really interesting of how much civil unrest there is and how it could topple governments around the world. It's not just Black Lives Matter. In the Philippines, they're currently protesting because their government wants to bring in anti-terrorism laws that they believe are like a front for just snooping, just general invasion of privacy.
Oh, yeah, they do. That is a lot of the things too. Like, you think the government's coming in to like bring this law in to keep us safe, but then there's always those people who are like, nah, they're just doing that so they can.
And it's always a tough one because I'm always sitting here going, well, I don't send any emails or texts about bombs, look away.
We often do that. We often do the whole, like, me and you discuss where we go, we're not doing anything illegal.
Yeah, so I don't mind if you look, but I do understand that it's like once you let them in, you can't get rid of them.
Did you know my uncle, who's a politician in Western Australia, he was in the SAS, in the army, and he voted against the stop and search rules. Remember they were trying to bring those up in Perth? Because he cracked out the old veteran thing where he goes, I didn't fight in a war. He's literally like 45, I swear. 50. He's like, I didn't fight in a war so you could take the privacy of the people and act like a communist nation. He voted
Freedom.
He voted against it, yeah. And as a man that like went to war, you're like, well, I guess he's sort of right.
Listen to him, he's the man. Okay, Hong Kong protests have also, remember they were kind of the original riots of early 2019.
Yeah. That's when 2019 when we could start smelling
late 2019, early 2020.
Yeah, we could start smelling what 2020 had up in store for us.
Well, they're back because coronavirus is sort of easing there in Hong Kong as well.
Yeah.
They're back on the streets. They were the ones who really, them and France of last. Do you remember? There was riots everywhere last year as well. France, they went. They did the high vis. It was like the high vis riots.
Yes. What was it about?
They had. I don't know. I should have looked that up.
Yeah, but it was about
taxation of cheese. not enough baguettes.
I do like that you're making one very serious matter.
I feel like it was something to do with working conditions and
Yeah.
maybe wages.
Yeah, it
being-
was something to do with that.
Being being unacceptably low.
How high-vis yellow vest became a symbol of protest beyond France. I'm on the internet. I'm on The Guardian. So.
Oh,
you know.
it's good.
Yeah. Two fed-up truck drivers from Seine-et-Marne department east of Paris calling for a nation blockade of France's road network in protest against rising fuel prices.
Okay,
That's
what
it was. So they won't be back because fuel's very low.
It's very low here at the moment, which is great. But riots everywhere. People in Brazil are rioting against the president of Brazil, who's seen here riding a horse.
Oh,
They
like Putin.
They just don't.
Oh, he has a shirt on.
They think that there's investigations sort of against him at the moment, and I think they believe that he is corrupt, and so there's riots everywhere.
Yep.
And so you might need to know how to stay safe in a riot. Okay, and so I've found people are putting out like actual tips.
Oh, really?
Actual tips if you are in a riot. So they say that at the first opportunity to break away,
Is it be white?
no, but this can't save you.
Oh.
This can't save you from so the actual riot as a whole. So not just the police.
Oh, okay.
But it can be very dangerous to be in the middle of a riot, of a crowd.
Yep.
Like you could be crushed.
Yeah.
And so the first tip is you need to make your way out. If you're in the middle, you need to make your way out of the crowd. The way to do this.
Please tell me the tip is not excuse me, until you get out.
No, what you got to do is they say move with the flow of the people. Don't fight against it. But you want to go out at an angle.
Oh, okay. Do you also put your hand straight up in the air and a lifeguard will come and save you?
As a fist.
Yeah, as a fist, so they don't think you're waving.
So it's like getting out of a riptide. You go out at an angle and you want to make your way to the edges.
Yep.
And the other thing they recommend is they say grab your wrists.
Yep.
One hand to...
Like as if you're doing a cool surfer handshake where you do the forearms?
Yes. So grab your forearms and sort of duck your head down a bit, pop out the old elbows.
Yeah.
And that will give you it will free up your chest because you can it can be hard to breathe if you're in the throng.
Oh, I thought you were doing it it's 1990s basketball where you get the ball and you put your elbows out and you just swing back and forth so no one can come near you.
I did have a coach when I played football who said that feel free to basically hit opponents with your elbows so long as it looks like you're effectively teaching a dirty tactic.
Yeah.
But he's but if you've got the ball, that's their problem if they get in your elbows. So stick them out. And that's the same thing here. That's the same thing with surviving a riot. If pushed to the ground, try to get against a wall and roll yourself into a ball and cover your head with your hands until the crowd passes.
Also, begin crying because whenever someone sees a grown man crying, everyone's like, "What's up with that?" And they'll give you space. Maybe I should have tips. I'll have counter tips to these tips.
But so if you are in any of the protests and things get a bit out of hand, you're stuck in the middle, those helpful little tips will help you survive the 21st century.
Also, pinch bums.
Just to startle people?
Pinch or tickle bums. Because there's going to be a lot of pushing and shoving and punching and elbowing and kicking, and that's just a riot. It'd be like being in a mosh pit. But if someone was tickling your bum, you'd be like, oh, what's that? And you'd get out of the way. And it's hard to yell at someone. Look, yell at me now and I'll tickle your bum.
So one of the ways that we're going to survive the 21st century, Mitch, I think that we've proved this quite well. And the podcast is proof of this, really. It's about staying connected.
Yep.
It's about entertainment and just staying sane. Okay?
Yes, which is funny because didn't the ABC or the SBS or one of them put out a looked like an expensive ad of going, don't do it, don't do it. And it was don't start a podcast.
I felt personally attacked.
Yes, because we did. And so did many, many other people. We do have our radio show, Limestone Coast, in Mount Gambier in South Australia, but this podcast separate. We were not paid to do this. We just did this because of COVID times.
And if there's one man who knows his way around a podcast, it is the one and only Radio Mike.
Radio Mike, welcome.
Thank you for... I've already stuffed it up. I've been on for 2 seconds. Thank you so much for having me. That's what I was trying to say, but I fucked it. Can I say fuck on your show?
I guess you can now. Yeah.
It's fine.
Hey, he's done it.
And even the editing, Michael does the editing. So, even if you're just I'll have a go. Fuck. Like he has to edit it out.
I'm going to start taking
He
notes.
has to bleep it. We don't have to do anything.
I love that you did the classic, like, because you're a podcaster yourself and you do heaps of radio spots here and there and whatnot. And I like that the basic sentences are the hardest for us. Like when we go, I'm going to say, thanks for having me. And we're always like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and I feel like I came into it so confidently, and within literally 3 seconds, I already screwed up my grand appearance on your podcast, which is such a shame.
We do set the bar pretty low, though, so you're still the greatest guest so far. Well, this, I've known Michael Ross, my co-host. I've known Radio Mike for a little while now.
Oh, yes.
He just randomly followed me on Instagram. It was probably part of some Instagram campaign. And then since then, I've watched his career like transcend mine immensely. He's done.
It's not hard.
Yeah, it's true. He's done he's been a producer for Hamish and Andy on their show, their little podcast. He's helped out Luke and Lewis, who we know, good radio guys.
Just a couple of other random,
guys
guys really in that big pond.
Yeah, and basically, I wanted to get Radio Mike on because he's just the best when it comes to podcasting and just knowing how to start podcasts and whatnot. And that's what we've done, and we're obviously doing it horribly. So Radio Mike, I thought I'd bring you on to essentially help us.
Yeah, great. I am the podcast king of Melbourne. I do understand that you guys are not in Melbourne, but I could be the podcast king of several other states in Australia by the time this interview's up. Who knows?
Look, after this, if you try and claim South Australia, it probably won't fly because we are halfway between Adelaide and Melbourne in this little pocket dimension. That was, in fact...
You guys are in the Limestone Coast, aren't you?
We are. Thank you for using its correct name.
Yes, that is good. It's sort of weird because we will often just say Mount Gambier and people will get really offended because it is known for the limestone here. So,
and it's more than just this town. It's lots of towns. Did you know it was even going to be potentially its own state? That was on the cards.
The Limestone Coast was going to be its own state?
It was going to be called like Prince's Land.
Wow.
Bet you didn't know that.
That would be awful. I'd hate that. I'm glad that didn't happen. That'd be shit.
Aren't you excited that you came on? You would have never known that, Radio
Never
Mike.
known.
Oh God, the Prince's Land. Is it like the we've already got Queensland.
Yeah.
Is the Prince's Land like, I don't know, would it be, well, I guess it would be the nephew of Queensland.
Which
it would be.
And probably partner, the way Queensland works. Radio Mike, you did say off air, you said, I think I might know what this is about as to why you were on the show, but you were going to leave it up to us. What did you think I was bringing you on the show for?
Well, so all the stuff about Prince's Land wasn't it? Is that correct?
No,
that was just some friendly info about where we are.
That was just small talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, my theory about this, because I was racking my brain as to why you two big shot Limestone Coast radio guys would want to talk to little old me. And what I came up with is that one of you has a problem with me being known as Radio Mike. And I'd hazard a guess that it's Michael.
Incorrect.
Is that it?
Incorrect. He's passive. I'm annoyed at it as Mitchell. No.
I'm a little bit annoyed that I didn't get there quick enough.
Yeah.
It's like it's not my handle.
You could be Radio Michael. I'm sure people would like
we could
that.
share.
But you know what's hilarious is Radio Mike, how much radio are you doing?
I'm doing no radio due to COVID. I'm sure you guys are both aware that jobs in radio are pretty scarce at the moment. I am doing absolutely no radio at the moment.
Now, Michael Ross, could you perhaps be podcast Mike?
That's true.
Because
you've left yourself open there. I could take that slot.
I kind of have a monopoly on both at the moment because it's being used interchangeably by many different people. Personally, I've always just wanted it to be Radio Mike, so you'd be more than welcome to take Podcast Mike if you'd want it. May I suggest an alternative, Radio Ross?
That's not bad. I like the alliteration.
Yeah, I do that. I do like Radio Michael as well. It makes it sound
Radio
like
Michael,
you would get more of the older demographic, where Radio Mike's only getting like the cool young kids.
I tell you what, though, fuck Radio Mick.
Yeah. Radio Mick. I deliberately avoided Radio Mick.
Oh, I can't stand Mick as a. Let's just have some Michael chat over here.
I'll
Is
step
Mick
away,
your
I'll step
least
away.
favorite version of our name?
It absolutely is, because at no point in the name Michael does the sound Mick ever occur.
Does
I don't
not
know
happen.
where people are coming from.
Mickle.
It's like if you were calling guys called Nicholas Nike. It's like, no, it's Nicholas Nick.
That is almost the best analogy I have ever heard. You don't call Nick's Nike. And can I ask you one thing, just since we're on mic chat?
Absolutely.
Do you hate it when people spell it EAL,
Oh.
not AEL?
Swine. Illiterate. Uncultured
Does that happen to
swine.
your whole life and it
Oh,
pisses
yeah.
you off more and more?
Because what is
Like,
that then?
How are you? How is it 2020 and you still haven't encountered the name Michael written down that you know that it's AEL?
Oh,
It
we've-
baffles me. It
I've gone
frankly
over
baffles me.
so many times that Michael is one of like the most famous names, and
Oh.
there's no famous
That's
Mitchell.
it.
Yeah, Michael Jordan,
Michael Jackson,
Michael
Michael J.
Jackson,
Fox,
Michael Tyson. You
Michael
know,
Sarah, you name it, there's a Michael.
I like to spell it Mycool, like just Michael.
Yeah, I've
Michael.
done that in the past.
Yeah.
Michael is definitely something that all Michaels experience and experiment with in their times. You don't have that with Mitchell. No one's, you don't have a
Or
Mitchell. Like Mitchell isn't a word, but Michael.
sometimes they do say one L or two L's, and that's pretty
That's
pretty
pretty-
riveting on the Mitchell front. Just to let you guys know.
Are there any famous Mitchells? Is there a famous Mitchell?
There's some Mitches, but that's only like football, I guess. If you're like Mitch McGovern,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Mitch.
There's who have you got? Mitch Marsh, the cricketer.
Yeah, so there's that.
There's there's a UK comedian, Mitchell McIntyre. Oh
Yeah.
wait, no, it's Michael
Michael.
McIntyre. There we
Oh,
go.
he got
Gotcha
me.
there.
Stung me.
Sorry.
So currently, right now, it's Mitchell Marsh taking on Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Mike Tyson.
It's not very
I
fair.
mean, those weren't that good guys. So they're not doing too badly.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Michaels are successful but horrible people.
Well, I mean, let's wait and see, I guess.
No, I did.
Sorry,
not-
can I just
Oh,
get
sorry,
one
we
more
got back-
before we
so
move on
back
from
to
Michael
Michael
chat? Do you
Yeah.
find that rhyming with Michael is actually harder than it seems?
I definitely do think that. But rhyming with Mike is actually quite easy.
Yes,
So
rhymes
that's
with
sort
Mike
of
is
your
fine.
compromise.
But if you have like Michael, it rhymes with cycle, but it doesn't sound right.
Michael Cycle.
It doesn't work. And so always, as a kid, everyone would always default to Michael Pikel. And it's like, what the fuck is a Pikel?
Where'd you guys grow up? Did you guys grow up in South Australia?
WA.
Yeah, and
And-
before that, I grew up in
yeah.
Darwin. So
Okay, so Michael Pikel must be a WA thing because we definitely never got that here in Victoria. It was always Michael Cycle, Michael Motorcycle, those kind of things. Always annoyed me a lot.
now, if both of you boys could pick another name, what would you go with?
I always really liked the name Tyler.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just doing it. I thought that was a serious question. I gave you a serious answer.
But it's
I
like,
always thought Tyler was pretty cool.
it was such a serious answer. It was like, I've thought about this long and hard. I'd really like to be Tyler.
It's a weird name to be so confident to go with because Tyler would probably have its own problems.
I think
Yeah, no, Tyler would. You know, there's an episode. I don't know if you guys watched The Simpsons. There's an episode of The Simpsons where Marge is suggesting names for their firstborn child, right?
Yeah.
And all the names she comes up with, Homer is finding bad rhymes for that name, and then Marge says Bart, and Homer can think of no bad names that rhyme with Bart. Every 90s kid immediately thought fart.
Yeah.
And I always got really annoyed at that episode.
I've had obviously I get bitch, so that's not fun.
I think if I
that's
had to
not a
pick
good
an
one.
alternate name, something about William Like, because then I could be, because I like the variety. You can be William. You can be Will. You can be Bill. You can be Billy. You can be Willie.
You can be Willie, yeah. And it's like as stages of life.
Exactly. You evolve with the name.
But you guys could be Mikey, Mike, Michael.
See?
Yeah,
It runs out much sooner
three.
than William.
And that'll
Because
do.
I refuse to be called Mick.
Yeah.
I mean, with William, you're already living in Prince's Land. So that would actually be pretty cool. You'd be William from Prince's Land, like Prince William. That'd be a pretty cool coincidence.
Then that could be my handle. I wouldn't have to be Radio Mike. I could be
You'd be Prince William.
Prince's William.
What about
just chuck it in S and confuse all of the social media sphere.
how good would it have been to be Radio Willie? Like, that's just so... Oh, mate. Look, thank you so much for the Michael chat so far. Because,
That's
like you
totally
said,
fine.
you work in the radios and the podcasting. We kind of do a show about it started when we were all locked up in quarantine and self-isolation. And we just get people's thoughts on what it was like, how it affected them, and some tips on being locked away. And as a podcaster, that's essentially your job doing well, is being locked away.
Yeah, I guess so. But I actually wasn't that impacted by social isolation, and the reason for that was I live by myself and I don't really have many friends. So my life pretty much stayed exactly the same. I played Nintendo Switch a lot, I watched a lot of TV, and I got Uber Eats pretty much every night. Nothing changed before or after isolation for me.
So what if Uber Eats ran out? Where would that put you?
Well, that would be an absolute tragedy, because I can't cook either.
Oh,
no.
No, I can't cook anything. So, yeah, I mean, if anything, the best part about isolation was I did spend less money because I didn't have to go out as much with people, and I didn't have to buy drinks and stuff out. Like, I saved money, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I just remembered
Yeah.
something. Radio Mike, not Radio Michael. This question's for Radio Mike.
No problem.
Are you of Italian descent?
Yes, I am.
Ah,
Are you?
no, but my Michael is.
Hang on, I'm thinking about where this is going now.
Hang on a second. Michael Ross, who wants to be known as William, is of Italian descent.
Hey, look, it's a long convoluted story, but my last name doesn't reflect it properly. My grandmother's last name is Manfredini, which is like amazing because that just means little Manfred.
Oh, I didn't know. I would never have guessed you were of Italian descent, man.
Oh, don't look.
If anything, I would have thought Mitchell would have been of the two of you.
Because I look
to
real
have more
slick.
of a-
real greasy.
Real great. Real slobby.
No, you can't join it. We can make the jokes of our people.
Sorry,
You-
Mitchell. Yeah. Yeah, I think Michael's made my point pretty clear. This is, yeah.
I'm getting concerned though because you've brought along a guy called Radio Mike, who's worked with the experience he has with teams in the industry, like your Hamish and Andy's, so he's better experienced than me. But he also seems to like all the things I like.
Yep.
Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
Food.
Yep.
Not seeing people. Are you trying to replace me in the middle of a show?
I have thought about it. But unfortunately, I do feel like this is going to backfire. And it's just going to be Michael. Just Michael Pikel.
It's hit Limestone Coast Brekkie with Radio Michael and Radio Mike. Good morning, everyone.
Mike
That'd
and
be a
Mike.
great show. I think everyone would
it'd
love
be
that.
good.
That was our uni show. We had a third guy, by the way. It was Mitchell, and
Yeah.
Michael. It was super.
Get him back, and then the four of us should do a show. The Mitchell, Mike, and Michael show. That would be great.
Oh, I'm gonna do it right now. Well, mate, honestly, I honestly just wanted to have you on to just talk nonsense because I love listening to your stuff. You're super delightful. What podcast are you working hard on mostly now?
As in, what podcast am I? Wait, what was? Sorry, you cracked up a little bit there.
What podcast are you working mainly on now? Is it still your 20th century? Because you've got about 15 podcasts.
Yeah, so my podcast, my solo podcast, which I guess is like sort of what you guys are doing with your podcast, it's just like talking smack, I guess, is called 20th Century Boy. So if you want to take a listen to that, that'd be awesome. I'd appreciate that.
How many podcasts do you have?
I only have 2 podcasts, but I work across like a lot, and I lose track of the names of a lot of them at times. But you know, I'm getting there.
And just to meet the requirements of the show, we need some kind of survival tip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. For you to be an adequate
yeah,
guest, because
sorry guys,
even my Michael said, "So why are we talking to this guy?" And I said, "He's just delightful."
Yeah.
And so we've got to make it fit.
Yeah. I also realized you asked for my survival tip like 15 minutes ago, and we've totally gone off topic. So, a general survival tip. Are you asking like what's something I do that like helps me get through?
I can put you in a scenario if you like.
Isolation?
Would you like a little scenario?
Yeah, put me in a scenario.
Okay.
That'll definitely help.
Because I'm sort of picking up through this whole conversation and through your original name, that is Radio Mike. If the 21st century collapses and we have no electricity or no internet, your
Mm-hmm.
world, I see, would come tumbling down. How do you
Wow.
how do you evolve into not Radio Mike?
Yeah, great. The answer to that and my survival tip, that's great context, is that hang on, all technology, so there's no electricity?
No, it's all gone, mate.
Oh,
We're in like a Mad Max style
no.
world where it's going to result
Yeah,
to
okay.
anarchy, but we still need entertainment. How are you gonna entertain the masses?
I think I'd get a bunch of friends together and go to a local park and reenact episodes of The Simpsons for people who would want to. Well, there wouldn't even be money, so we'd just do it for free for fun, really. I think that would be my survival tip.
Why is
Reenact old episodes of a 90s TV
Why
show.
You'll get 30 years out of it.
Why is no one doing
Oh,
that?
there you go.
That should already be a theatre show.
I'm sure there's some legal grey area of just
Oh, yeah.
doing recreations of things in parks. I don't know.
Did you see they're doing Who Shot Mr. Burns this weekend?
Oh, mate. My name's not Legal Mitchell. I don't worry about that stuff.
Radio Mike, thanks for jumping on our little show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Cheers, boys.
I'm sorry for wasting your time, as in there was no real reason, but I listened to your stuff. I think you're delightful.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome too.
Mitch, let's finish off the week with one of our favourite segments. We always have to award the Golden Dodo. So these are the people that will not lead us to safety, not to survival. They will go extinct like the dodo.
Quick question before you play the opener.
Yes.
Have you added the Homer Simpson does into the Dodo, the internet we provide?
Yes.
Dodo!
Yes. It is. You still haven't listened.
I haven't listened to a single show.
Yes, I put in the Homer Simpson dodo.
I am
idea.
a chef. I'm a vegan chef that cooks great steak. I'm like, look, I know what I'm doing, but no, I do not want to partake.
The nominees for the Golden Dodo of this week. Nominee number 1 is Elon Musk. Okay, he's leading the way because if you've been following him on Twitter, he has been very vocal about the coronavirus shutdown in America. He completely disagrees. He thinks that the virus isn't particularly very bad and it's damaging the economy just way too much.
Yep.
He basically refused, okay? He said, like, we are not shutting down the Tesla factory.
Oh, but that's because there's less than 20 people there.
And then this week, there are reported cases of coronavirus at the Tesla factory.
Oh, classic.
It's eating humble pie for Elon Musk. Nominee number 1. Don't follow
I do
his
love a
example.
good, like, was it Sweden that did the whole, we're doing herd mentality. And then the guy that suggested that is like, yeah, we made a mistake about that.
It's just, listen, like Australia, hey, look, if you're from another country right now, Australia have done it well.
Exactly. Listen to The Who, the band, and the World Health Organization. You'll go a long way.
Nominee number 2, he's featured before. It is the one and only Donald Trump, the POTUS.
D. Trump.
He has gone to a new level.
He has. Hopefully it's this one that I'm thinking about.
I swear he's got the tinfoil wig on
That's
this
close,
week
yeah.
because during the riots in the US, a 75-year-old man was pushed over while having an altercation with police. He fell backwards and hit his head.
Yeah.
And I think he's recovering now.
It was a very, very nasty fall.
It was a very nasty fall. But old D. Trump...
Please read that tweet, because I knew exactly the one you were going to go.
Where is it? Here we go. So Donald Trump tweeted, Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. Antifa being the anti-fascist movement. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. I watched. He fell harder than was pushed. Was aiming scanner. Could be a setup. He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
He really, really is. Now, there is a video about it. I like that he's safe. In legal terms, he's safe. Because he said could be.
Could be.
Like, technically, like, I could be like, Donald Trump could be a Nazi. Like, he's not.
Could say could be.
He's not, but he could be. Anyone could be.
So it appears to be that Gugino's talking to the police and he's waving his hands around while arguing.
Yep.
And he's holding his phone.
Yeah.
And which Trump then believes that could actually be a scanner and that he could black out all of the police communication if he gets it close to theirs.
Because there's nothing we want more, and our greatest weapon is a 75-year-old white man. In fact, that's actually a good idea. Because who's going to be able to get closest to police? A 75-year-old white man. If you sent like a 26-year-old black woman, sure, you wouldn't get in within 100 meters of them cops.
And finally, nominee number 3 is a man from Russia who do not follow his example. This is the way we go to extinction. I'm just going to play Mitch a video, and we can talk it through as we go.
Yep.
So as you can hear, it's his birthday, and he's going to dive into his pool in like a swanky little mansion. There's a window from one part of the house to his indoor pool.
Yeah, where he can jump through.
Where he can jump through.
But there seems to be a glass fence around the pool.
Of course, because it's a pool.
On the first level, he's on the second level looking to jump out. Oh my God, no! Oh no!
Do not follow his example. He just hit that fence. He's lucky that he got it with like the chest, but just inches away from the neck. Do not follow that man's example. That was nominee number 3 for the Golden Dodo of this week.
I'm going to have to put that video up as well on Mitchell Michael Show on Facebook, because without a doubt that man is the Golden Dodo. Because he literally nearly went extinct.
Congratulations.
Guys, if you haven't seen that video, like Mitchell Michael Show on your favourite Facebook page, like you have to. I need you to go see that. That was the most craziest thing I've ever seen.
Dmitry Prigrodov.
Those who live in glass houses shouldn't jump out of windows into the...
And that does it for this week. Thanks for joining us on the most isolated show in the world. If you would like to get in contact with us, hit us up on the Mitchell and Michael Show Facebook page.
Yes. Do let us know what you think as well. Love your feedback or leave a review on your podcast. We're now on, is it Wooshka? Wooshka, the sponsor of the podcast.
They're our new host. And you can find plenty of legit shows there.
Yeah.
So we now feel important.
See you next time. Oh, wait. Should you make it?
Oh, you could just say it, Scott.